Okay, everyone. So, welcome back, by the way. And today I want to pose you a question. Okay. I want to ask you, in your mind, right now, for where you are in your business, what really makes the difference in your team? What moves the dial for the people in your team, those individuals, to give more of an effort, to give their best effort for you, for what you're doing, for your business, for the project, for whatever it is? What is it that makes them move that dial? What is it you're doing at the moment in your business that's helping to facilitate that? So, whether you're actually trying to do something at the moment in time that's going to help move that dial, whether you're measuring something, whether you're providing a carrot and a stick, what is it that you are doing that really makes that difference to make the people in your business engage and to actually give more effort, to give their best effort for you, for the project, for the bigger goal, for the bigger picture? What is it that's really doing that? My name, by the way, is Mike. The company is Cavill, and we're helping supporting businesses like you to get the people element in your business tuned in and correct, ultimately to help you grow your business, increase profits, and do the best and be the best that you can be. And that's the focus that we want to bring here. Now, you're going to have to excuse me. This is going to date this particular kind of process we're going through right now because I'm wearing my Liverpool shirt. It's a brand new one. And yep, there's a game on today. So Charity Shield. So not a big one, but that's why I'm in this attire right now. But I don't want to miss doing the video. And so that's why this is really important for me. If you are enjoying this, by the way, you will find that you are either watching this with the blog post below. Go ahead afterwards and read that. That's really important. If you are not yet on our blog post, then what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Because you can click like, subscribe, and down in the description, you'll be able to click a link and you'll get access to our latest guide, early information, and earlier things at a better time as well. So better stuff at an earlier time. God, I got that wrong way around. And we're always giving out loads and loads and tons of information to help and support you, your teams, and your business. So if this makes a difference to you, then definitely go click the link, go and subscribe, and obviously you'll get more wonderful content and able to read that blog post that I'm talking about right now. So with that done, let's start looking to move forward, because I want to have a look at, it's all fair and well to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing in your teams right now to help grow them, to help get them more engaged, to get people to actually get shit done? And when I talk about that, I know it sounds like I'm being a bit, difficult there. I'm using profanity. I'm sorry about that. That's how I go. But what I'm talking about when I'm saying get shit done is the shit that matters. So all too often, one of the experiences that I find personally when talking to you guys and businesses like you right now is you get really immensely busy people. I mean like thoroughly busy, really busy people, to the point when they're breaking down. And the difficulty is when you look at it and you take yourself out of it for a minute and you look at it, right? Okay, so this person's really busy. They're about to just fail. They're about to just break down here. They're that busy. But on the face of it, it's not really moving the dial. And it sounds harsh to say that. It sounds awful to kind of put it in that particular way. But the reality strikes that although this person is near breaking point, the work that they're so busy on and doing, it isn't making in all honesty, making the tantamount difference to the business that you expected it would do. And I see this quite a lot. And it's difficult to come to that realization as well, because it feels awful. You're not saying this person's lazy. You're not saying they've got a performance problem. You're not saying that they're not getting stuff done, or they're turning up late and leaving early. You're saying none of these criticisms. They're actually busy. These are actually what you would maybe class as one of your good people in your teams. But the work they're busy on doing, and it's not the quality of their work either, by the way, but the work they're busy on doing is not moving the dial in what you're looking for. And there's a couple of reasons that come to mind as to why that happens. But I really want to touch and dig deep into that right now in this particular podcast, because I think that's the catalyst to driving everything else we're going to talk about is having that wake up moment to actually say, I know this person is busy. Maybe you may know, you may think that person looks busy, but it's not achieving much. You may find that easy to come to that realization. And that's perfectly fine as well. But I think it's a case of realizing that there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between having this really busy person that's running around and doing lots of stuff and the outcome from it and what it's meant to be achieving. It doesn't always link up. In fact, invariably, I would say, and this is a personal stat, by the way, not one that's on the internet anywhere for going hunting for, but personally, for me, I actually think that a lot of businesses, smaller businesses that are from 10 to 200 staff, have got an awful lot of people that fall into this category and they don't have that connection because it's not thought about connecting it. Because a lot of businesses, they grow organically. So you've either gone from being yourself, sat around a kitchen table or in a garage or something, and you've grown into this other business where you've now got 50, 100 people in your business with you, and it's taken on a different feel. But you still are realistically the people around the table in the kitchen or in the garage in that mentality, and you're still doing the organic stuff rather than actually trying to take yourself out of it and make sure you're connecting all these bits and pieces to help take you to that next level and make where you are right now sustainable. So it's quite common. So for me, as a percentage, if I got told to put a percentage on it, I would actually say it's quite high. I would say it's somewhere between 60 and 80% of the business that I talk to fall into this. And there's a real classic behavior that identifies it. And that is you have one business overall, and in that one business, maybe you've got 3 or 4 different teams. So you've grown organically, and now you've got these different teams doing these different functions that all come together to help you to achieve the goal of whatever it is for the business as a whole. And I actually have an example of this as well, which I'll come on to in a minute. But what you tend to find is if you put yourself into team one in that business, it will have a look and a feel in a certain way. So it will have its certain culture, it will have its certain values and principles and ways of doing things. If you put yourself in team four, it again will have its own unique way of doing things, its own unique culture and values and principles. And the other two in the middle will be exactly the same. They'll have their own individual stances. So one of the things when I talk to businesses, I always say to them, you've got businesses in businesses in businesses, because the bigger you go up that tree and the more you expand organically, all of a sudden under each team, you've got another 2 teams that fall into your hierarchical structure. And each of those tend to get their own kind of culture and everything else as well. So if I picked up a person from one team and plopped them into another, it's almost like going from living on Earth to living on the moon. And it's so completely different. And that's one of the telltale signs is when you have, and I talk to people and they say, do you know what, Mike, I've got these teams. They don't operate in the same way. I've got this guy, he's really good at doing this and running the team in this particular way. I've got this lady over here, and she's really good at doing these things, not so good at doing these things, and that team's working this particular way. And you go through the list and you identify very quickly they're all different. And I'm not saying, people should be exactly the same, we should be robots, but there should be some lineage that connects everything. You're one business, you come under one umbrella. If you were to look at it from where I stand, you've got multiple different businesses that form underneath that to try and reach that goal. They've all got their different things. So you should be able to move people around and create an overall culture in your organization that you're trying to desire to grow with consistency. One of the things I liken that to is the McDonald's model. So when McDonald's started, one of the biggest problems they had when they started franchising, if you've ever watched that video, the founder, great video by the way, but if you've ever watched that, one of the biggest things was consistency. How do we get this franchisee over here, wherever it is in America, to create and cook burgers and chips in exactly the same way as you would get them over here, and the menu to be exactly the same, the pricing structure, the mechanisms, the mechanics, everything to be identical. They're 2 different businesses. They're franchisees, but they work in the same way, have the same culture, same ethos, same processes, everything. That was one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. And what I find is a lot of businesses are experiencing that on a much smaller scale, but internally. So you're not spread out sparsely by geography across a big, wide country. You've got this breakdown in the lineage within your organization, within a central place, within one business, within one roof. And you've got these different feels, and it shouldn't be that way. It just shouldn't be that way. So that's one of the quick telltale signs that I find about that. And one of the most common problems that we tend to get in terms of trying to resolve some of these issues, when you identify there's this disconnect, you can feel it, you're trying to bring it together, you're trying to herd the cats into one place, is you come up and highlight these perks or these one-off events that you're going to do, these team building sessions, and everything else. And you get these big motivational things, and you create your values and you stick them on posters and you post them across the place. You don't talk to anyone about it, but you stick these posters up with words on and you say, read that. That's what we stand for. And that's it. It's done. And you think, well, they should solve the problem, but we're still working in a disconnected fashion, in a disconnected way. Why has that not worked? And the key to that is if you're not getting the basics, and by the way, that's just papering up over the cracks. Doing an away event, doing a 1 day perk thing or a bonus thing that lasts for one-off event, it papers the cracks. It doesn't solve an entrenched problem. Culture is something that's at the very root of your organization. It's at the very core of everything you do and stand for. It's built in there, and you either set it or the people you invite to work in your business will set it for you. One way or another, there will be one. It's not a vacuum of space. A culture will exist. You can't just change that with an event. You can't just change how, you can't just say, well, we're going to go on a holiday and that's going to change entirely how our family interacts with one another. It doesn't. You might have a great holiday. You might get along and be wonderful together. But when you come back, the siblings are still fighting because the same argument's still there. The place hasn't changed. You just dusted over it for a little bit, and it felt good for a short period of time, but ultimately it's still the same problem. You haven't corrected anything. You haven't changed or challenged anything whatsoever. So if you're not getting the basics right in your business, nothing is going to stick. Nothing long term is going to change. So we want to make sure we identify and we're adult enough to come forward and say something isn't right. Either we've got a lot of people that are really busy, what I call the busy fools. No offense to them, but they're running around like blue ass flies, but not achieving very much that's making a difference to the business. We've got people that potentially aren't performing at all, and we've got a disconnect between what the role's meant to do and how it's meant to actually improve the business and our clients and quality, etc., etc. Doing an away day is not going to solve that. Doing a one-off perk is not going to solve that. Putting up a couple of motivational messages or those pictures you get in the frames with the motivational messages and stuff, it's not going to make that transactional change within your organization to that degree and level. You've got to focus on the basics and getting the basics right. And that's where I come on to what I would call game change number one. So the game changer number one is really, and oh my God, this is going to sound so easy, Mike, on the face of it. Good management. Good management. It's as easy as that, right? Of course it is. Just do some good management and it's going to change everything. Well, it's not as easy as that. And I know that. And it takes a lot of work. But on a headline, when you're looking at where is it I need to focus my attention and time to actually get some of these basics right, this is where it would be. Number one. And it means there's got to be an investment in time and actually improvement and trying to be consistent to make this better across the board. It's not an overnight thing. You can't just rock up and say, hey, four managers, in that structure I gave a minute ago, an example. Hey, you four, be good. Off you go. And the world is solved. It doesn't work that way, and I know that. But we know that, to have an impact, to start having a breakdown in those into what has happened before and challenging the norm and setting up something that's different, taking people out of that comfort zone and moving them along that dial, so to speak, that we're looking to do, you really do need some good management to do that, because you can break it and then just keep it broken. So you want to make sure that you've got some structure, some strategy in what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, where you're trying to go to, and also measuring data of how you're progressing along that road. So we call these the three M's. So measure, manage, monitor. We want to manage and change that management model and make it better, make it improved, and make it align things that people are meant to be doing overall across the whole business together. Have some consistency and approach of what we're trying to do and feel and culture, and start to bed that in its infancy there. But then we want to actually then monitor what is actually happening. How is that actually changing things? Is this working in the way we wanted it to? Yes, no, maybe. And then we want to measure. We want to measure how much distance have we traveled? What's the difference it's making? And that difference will be not how, yes, it's going to be how are people feeling about that change. And altering that culture will mean some people ultimately no longer fit within that culture. And that's fine, by the way. Relationships grow, and sometimes that relationship growing means that sometimes one person might not work within that relationship anymore. They're not broken, they're not wrong, and neither are you. It's the relationship now is not right. So having an adult approach to that is fine too. But we want to make sure that we're measuring how that journey is impacting on our bottom line. How is it impacting on our business? How is it impacting on our customers and the quality of the work that we're providing and how we're providing it? We want to measure all those things because ultimately those are the things that are really mattering to us. That's what we're trying to do. It's what we're trying to achieve here. So we know for a fact, so one of these statistics I will throw out here for you, 70% of engagement comes down to the manager of a team. The engagement of your staff is driven by the manager in your team. And there is a real common analogy everyone uses, which is people don't leave bad businesses, they leave bad managers. And I absolutely think that's true. I mean, you can have people that for a culture, and again, this comes down to who you want to be and setting up that style of management and approach that you want to have overall as an organization and have your managers fitting within that model. But at the end of the day, if you have a manager and the team that's underneath that do not work well with that particular person, that style of management, then they're going to be switched off. They're going to turn off and they're going to want to go. They're going to look for the exit signs and they're going to want to evacuate the building as quickly as they can. People will leave. You'll have a high level of staff turnover, and that's the key to it. If you have a really bad manager, but they're really good at what they do. That's the other one. They're really good though, Mike. I know their people management's bad, or the way they deal with these particular kind of situations is poor and it's not what you would want. But they're so good at what they do here and they're so experienced in these different bits and pieces. Well, that's great. But why are they managing people then? If their their role is management and they have responsibility for people and teams and the growth and engagement of those people in those teams, you're not playing to that person's strengths. You're actually playing to their weaknesses. And that's only going to mirror itself within the team itself and your business. So you have the wrong person in the wrong role. That's the common factor with that. And you need to make sure that you have people that can ultimately help to get that engagement moving forward. If you have people that are poor at that part of the process, then I'm sorry, but they're not a good fit for you and what you're trying to do within your team. Maybe that approach would work better in another business where that culture is exactly what they want and how they operate. Great. That person will fit perfectly there. But it's a case of having the chef, for example, like a Gordon Ramsay, makes amazing, wonderful food, but if you don't like his style and how he talks to you, which I can get sometimes from watching it, why people wouldn't like being spoken to like that, when you're not going to work well within that team. It doesn't mean you're bad as a person. It doesn't mean necessarily you're a bad cook, although in some cases, some of the people he works with definitely are bad cooks. But ultimately, it just means you don't engage well with that person. That relationship doesn't work. Not every person that I meet would I be able to form a good relationship with, whatever that relationship is, whether it's romantic, friendship, family, whatever it is. It doesn't mean that it's going to work well in that particular way, and that's fine. It's not meant to in all cases. If you're everyone's cup of tea, then you're a mug, and that's the situation. I get that. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is to have the right people in the right places. 70% of the engagement within your teams is going to come down to the manager. If you have the wrong person in the wrong role, you're already onto a really difficult kind of pathway to try and get your success here. So that's the first thing to realize. Do you have the right people in the right role? Are you playing to their strengths? And then what we want to do once we have that set and we're happy with that is start looking at the consistency. And it's consistency, by the way, not perfection. I think that's the thing that we always get modeled up with here as human beings is when we're trying to roll something out, we're talking about it has to be perfect. I'm always talking about it needs to be in a state of good enough. And I know that sounds really, not grandiose at all. It's very kind of mediocre. And I'm talking about mediocrity here. You just want good enough. Is that really what we want here? Good enough means we can do something. It takes away the excuse from saying, well, it has to be perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. The likelihood of you ever being perfect is really slim. And in which case, you change nothing. It becomes an excuse. Good enough doesn't mean we want to stay there. It means we can start. I'm good enough to start. And I can improve along that journey as I go. But I'm not stopping myself from ever getting going. We want to actually start. So we're looking at consistency, showing up and doing the right things and doing them consistently. That's what we're looking to do. So when you're looking at your different teams, consistency is the key word. I want to know that the way in which we're doing things, like our one-to-ones, our appraisals, and all those other bits and pieces, how we manage particular situations, are done in a consistent way across the board. If I pick up team member from team 3 and plop them into team 1, it should look and feel the same. The work may be different. The clients you're working with might be different. The people you're working around will be different. But the feel, the culture, the values, the principles, the approach will all be the same. If I pick up Johnny from McDonald's in Cardiff and plop him into McDonald's in Leicester Square, sure, it's going to be busier for a fact. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be the same process to cooking chips, to making a Big Mac. It should be exactly the same. It shouldn't be different. And that's what we want here with our management styles and our teams and our processes. We want to have a place where we can have regular check-ins, set clear goals and expectations. This all links together. If you don't know me yet, by the way, and you haven't heard me talk about this, I'll bring it up regularly. But our productivity booster is important. It's imperative for doing this, because one of the things we know is to be able to drive your business forward, the people, whoever you are, from the one-man band window cleaner to, I don't know, Jaguar Land Rover, you will need people. People are going to be the big, costly asset and machinery in your organization that's driving you from A to B. That's a great pun for Jaguar Land Rover there. But yeah, it's the key that's driving you forward, right? It's the engine room of your business. If it's not ticking over, if it's not performing right, then ultimately the whole vehicle, your business, is just juttering along. Or sometimes it's not even moving. Or it could be going in reverse instead of going forward. We want to make sure that it's well tuned, right? And that's what this is. And that's what we do with our productivity booster, as we help to make sure that we can link the everyday tasks that people are doing to the bigger goals and aspirations of the organization. So we know that the work that we're working on isn't being a busy for, it's productive to what we're meant to be achieving. And it helps to drive the business forward, whether that's getting profits, patient care, whether you're a charity, whatever it is, it drives you forward, right? So we're building upon that, and we're building upon that in a big way. And we want to have those regular check-ins, setting clear expectations, giving clear recognition, and doing it in a timely way. There's nothing worse than someone doing something really good, really productive, and having to wait forever to be able to get that recognition of it. And I just want to come back onto that for a minute, because one of the things when it comes to management is you're going to have a balance. You're going to be spinning plates at a wild pace, and you've got to run around and you've got to keep each plate spinning and work hard and doing it all. And that's part of management, and that's what makes it complicated, right? But A lot of our time as a manager, managing people, that's what happens. You end up, the higher up the ranks you go, the more your role becomes about herding cats and managing people than it is actually doing the do, as I would say. So you're running around, you're spinning these plates. The one you're spinning the most, because the plate just wobbles all over the place, right, is people with performance issues. They will get and soak so much of your time. 80% of your time will be with the people who have a performance issue or some sort of an issue, whether it's conduct, performance, whatever's happening, it's taking your time. So a person is a problem potentially, or has an issue that's impacting, it's taking a lot of your time. That makes sense, right? I mean, of course, it would do. But the people that are spinning perfectly, the plate is just going round lovely and wonderful. Well, they're not getting a lot of that attention at all because the plate is spinning so well. You feel you don't need to. And then when this plate isn't spinning so well, you might put more weight on this other plate here because it's spinning so well, it takes a bit of the pressure off of this one. And then all of a sudden, for people doing well, for people being high performers, which is what we want to attract high performing people into our businesses, right? They're the ones that, for the purposes of doing that, most of the time in the business we're talking about here, and even in the bigger ones, they inherit more work because the people that can't do it or aren't performing well, you can't trust them with it. So you put it to the people you can. So their benefit, their recognition is more work. So just put and less attention, less of your time. And that's not a good thing. And those people realize that in actual fact, I'm working hard. I'm doing a really good job. And that person over there, I don't think they are. They're getting all of the attention. They don't have to do half the work I'm doing. They get the same pay as me. And yet I'm getting more of the work. Why would I stick around for that situation and exist in this environment? And they don't. And they can leave. And they can go and find employment elsewhere. Of course they can. And they do. And then what happens? The good performers, the superstars in your business, they leave and you get left with the subpar performance problems. And we all know what happens then. You're just struggling and chasing your tail, and the business suffers. Your clients suffer. The care, whatever it is you're providing, suffers. And it doesn't work. And you end up ripping your hair out and wondering, why have I got so many people problems? I hate employing people because it's all I do is to manage these issues and these problems, right? And that's the fundamental problem. So when we talk about good management, it's taking baby steps, chewable chunks into a world to get consistency, good enough, and increase engagement. Think about how I can do those regular check-ins, set clear expectations, measure against them, the 3 M's, measure, manager, monitor against those, and to give recognition in a timely way and not turn a blind eye to the high performers, my superstars, the ones I want to focus time on. And in game change number 2, moving on, thinking about time here, we want to connect work to purpose. I've spoken about that quite a lot, but it sounds crazy bonkers, but it just doesn't happen. It just flat out doesn't happen. I mean, I would challenge you, and hopefully you would say, hand on heart, all honesty and transparency, Mike, it does happen here in my business. Great, fantastic. You're an outlier. Awesome to you. Credit to you, and may that work well for you, and continue doing more of it. By the way, but the majority of businesses don't. You have a vacancy. I don't know, whatever that vacancy may be, job, blah blah blah, and you go out, you recruit, you bring a person in, you go, boom, there you go. This is the work we've got to do. You start bringing them in and introduce them to your teams, the projects you're working on, and they start working on stuff. And you might have a deep dive on how something might have gone. Maybe you don't even do that. I don't know. But then they're left. In that way, you might have one-to-ones with them. You'll do a nice snazzy appraisal process once a year, file that away electronically or physically, and forget about it until next year. And then they're in the run. They're in the role of what happens, right? They're just stuck back into the process of what happens. No one actually connects. What is it we actually want to achieve as a business? And this is what we're meant to be doing as an appraisal process. So hopefully you're doing it at the beginning, but you don't continue it. It's like a one-off process, once and done. But what is it we actually want to do? Where is it we're actually looking to go? What's the long-term vision for this business? What we're trying to achieve? And how do I connect John's role as an administrator to this? Because If I can't connect John's role to the outcome of what we're trying to achieve, then does John's role actually exist? Do we really need that? I mean, that should be one of the key questions. And it doesn't matter how high or low the role is in your hierarchy, every single role has a part to play to the bigger picture. If you took the role out, it would impact on the team's ability to facilitate getting to that end journey. Yeah, if I took a wheel off my car, it might impact on me being able to drive from London to Cardiff. It probably will do. And I'll have to make adjustments to be able to make that commute and journey. And that's the thing you've got to think about. Even the smallest nut or bolt in my car, if I lose it to some degree, it's going to have an impact on the functioning of my car. And I want to have a very well running car. I want a safe car and I want to know that I'm going to get from A to B for sure. I want to get there for sure, guaranteed. Not, I might make it. I want to make it, right? So, not very many businesses are good at this. They're not good at taking what the role is and the nature of what they're meant to be doing and connecting it to the bigger purpose, the bigger mission that we're on as an organization. We're not very good at sharing what that mission is. I mean, an awful lot of small business, again, this comes through the organic growth. It's cards close to your chest. And why are we not sharing it? Who are we? What's our identity? What are we meant to be doing? What's the bigger picture? What's inspiring me as a person working in your business? Oh, no, we don't want to tell anyone that. We don't communicate it. We have it in a big meeting for our SLT, if we call it that. But our senior managers, when we meet maybe once a quarter, we'll know what that is. And we don't need to talk about it. We just know. We know what it is. Or the owner is the owner. He's got senior managers, or she's got senior managers. But the owner knows what the direction is, but it doesn't communicate it to everyone else. It's just there in their head. It's not on paper. It's nothing physical. And we want to actually really make sure we're connecting people to it. We want to be open about it. We want to get people, again, engagement. We want people to engage with the bigger picture. I want people to be inspired. You come and work here, this is the direction travel we're going to. If we get there, it's going to present these challenges, but it's equally going to present these opportunities for everybody that we can all share within. That could be opportunity in terms of increase in salaries, bonuses, other structures. It could be increase in opportunity for career development, training. All these things are all inspiring for somebody who's a high performing and high achieving person wanting to come and be within your business. So we want to have a connection from Joe Blogg's job to the ultimate aim and of what the business is meant to be doing. I mean, there's nothing more. Just think about it. There is nothing more demoralizing in my eyes, in my mind, than going to work 9 to 5, being stuck in the rat race, commuting in, whatever the situation is, and thinking that whatever I'm doing on a daily basis doesn't really achieve anything, doesn't make a difference to anything. I'm doing all this work and I'm not really changing anything in the world. They're so demoralizing to be stuck in that situation. So why would we expect people to do that? We don't need some flashy kind of material and posters all over the place to make it work. We just need to have a process where we are articulating and sitting down and know what's the ultimate game plan here for the business. From a high level, what's the goal over the next 5 to 10 years? Where is it we're looking to be? And what are the key things we need to do to get there? And then I want to break that down to, okay, so what do I need to have achieved within 12 months to be on that trajectory? And then once I've got that broken down, I can then break it down further to my teams. So what does team 1, 2, 3, and 4 need to achieve to stand the opportunity to be on that trajectory over the course of these next 12 months? And then I would want them to break it down over the course of each individual month. I don't know how that sounds. It sounds like a pain in the ass of work. But if I don't know the commute, if I'm trying to go from Portsmouth, where I am, and I'm trying to travel to Edinburgh, I've never done that journey before in my life, by the way. So just so you know, I've never done that. And I would love to, but I haven't. If I don't know the route, if I don't have a map, if I don't even have a sat nav, I don't have a person who's even been on that journey sat next to me, and I decide I'm just going to start driving, I think I might make it there. I've got a rough idea. It's north, right? So I've got a rough idea of what I need to do and maybe some roads that I maybe need to hit, along that road. But I don't know the journey. So it's going to take me a lot longer to get to Edinburgh than it would do if I did, right? I think we can all agree on that. So I'm making my life deliberately harder. Whereas if I just sat down and mapped it out, maybe I'm making it easier. Maybe I'm making it guaranteed. Do you not think? I mean, I think I probably will make it to Edinburgh if I did it without it. I know I will make it if I had it. And okay, is it a bit more of a pain in the backside to start mapping something out initially, but it does not pay its dividends in the end? Yes, it does. And that's the key to this. It's taking a bit of time to get that consistency, to get the linkage of individual roles to business goals, and actually have some kind of direction and connection that I know that in my role, I'm contributing to something big. I actually have a part to play in this. I'm not just doing a 9 to 5. Helps to create engagement, helps to create ownership and better decision making within your teams too. So connecting the work to the purpose of what we're meant to be achieving and the bigger goals, that's what needs to happen. That starts with your appraisal processes, breaking it down, your goals in your team for you, your SLT or whoever it is, to set those over a longer term period as to where you want to go, and then start mapping your way there. Starting from today, over the course of the next 12 months, to the next 5 years, to the next 10 years. I want to map it out. And that's what you should be doing. So that's game changer number 2. Game changer number 3 is autonomy. So I say all of this and people say, that's micromanagement, Mike. You're breaking it all down. You're micromanaging. I'm going to have to sit over that person's shoulder all the time. Why? Why would you need to do that? I don't want you doing that. The time you start micromanaging people, it's for a couple of reasons. One is because you lack trust, for whatever that reason is, but you definitely lack trust. And the second is because maybe there's a performance issue, and that could be the reason why you lack trust. But you tend to find someone who's micromanagement, you're doing lots of meetings, maybe every week or something like that with somebody, it's because the trust is gone, and that's an issue. And you're trying to monitor and see what's happening and help to garner more improvement, whatever the case may be, and support as well through that process. But that's not a necessity. That's not something that should happen as a rule of thumb across the board. If I set out to somebody that they need to, I don't know, I'm just thinking of a stat here. You need to make 100 connections on LinkedIn this month. I don't need to sit down with you and watch you making those connections. I don't need to tell you how to do it. I don't need to do much more than that. I just need to know that I told you to do it. If you've got a problem doing it, then we need to come back and have a chat about that. I might need to give you some guidance. I might have, an SOP that guides you on how to do it and make it work better. I might have mapped that out. But ultimately, I'm not going to sit over your shoulder and make sure you're doing it. Because micromanagement will kill creativity in your business, and that's not what you want to do. Micromanagement has a role when you have a problem or lack trust. You want to encourage hands-off autonomy and empowerment to staff. Whilst I'm giving you a roadmap, you've got to get in the car, sunshine, and you've got to drive. You've got to get there, and you've got to meet me at the end. I'm not doing it for you. You've got to. The time I step in and have an issue is when you don't make it there. That's when we have a problem. That's when I need to ask, was it you? Was it a third-party vendor? Was it something else that's happened? Some other event that no one else could have imagined taking place occurred and prevented you from being able to make it to that particular destination at that particular time. What is it? I don't want to kill your creativity. I don't want to stymie growth. I want to promote it. I want to get creativity. I want growth. So I want to give you, here's the route. You're guaranteed to succeed. Follow the route, follow the path, but you have to do it. I'm not standing over your shoulders. So set clear goals. Let them decide how best to do those functions, and focus on how to learn and how to grow, not to blame. So again, just because you didn't get to the destination, I'm setting big goals here. So that's feasible, but you've you've done really well to get where you have. I mean, getting here to this point on this journey is an achievement. Let's not play that down. This is good. And the only reason you didn't get to where you wanted to, the goal at the end of it, because remember, I don't talk about goals as something you have to hit. Goals are something it's a target, it's something you're aiming towards. Okay, it's a goal to get there. What I want to do is inspire you to come out of your comfort zone and grow. So, I'm setting something big that you're having to stretch for. If you can hit it, it was too low. I'm not stretching you. So as a manager, that's what I'm looking to do. But I want to make sure, we have them. They're there. And can you learn? What can we learn from it? How can we help to improve it? All those things. We're not asking for perfection, remember. We're asking for good enough. And we can improve on good enough. And if we sit around waiting for perfection, we do nothing. We a classic example, we would be just doing nothing. Because it would be avoidance. That's what that is. So we want to link any benefits, any good things such as promotions, bonuses, rewards, any of that sort of stuff that we're building. I want it to be linked to the outcomes that people are doing. I want to help us to work faster. And I want to actually foster less oversight, not more. Doing this process, we're putting in the energy in the moment at the beginning. Our energies are going in at the beginning to set the roadmap. So we're not having to sit on the side on the journey to make sure they get there. I'm giving a person that's never traveled from Portsmouth to Edinburgh, a route map. As long as they follow that route map, they will get there. Okay? I will then say what time I want them there by, and that can be determined by lots of different factors. But ultimately, I'm already in Edinburgh. I'm waiting for them to get there with me, right? So I don't need to sit in the car. I don't need to be on that journey. They can make their own decisions, what time of day they leave, to ensure they try and get there for that time on that day at that destination. That's what I'm looking to do. And the better they get at it, the faster it's going to happen and the less input and oversight I have to have. I'm creating an environment where creativity and culture can spread, not be stymied and held back. So autonomy builds trust. You will trust more people. Once that person's made it to Edinburgh, you'll trust them to be able to do it again and again and again and again. So it builds trust, not just within you, but within the people, to have trust in you, to know you're going to allow them to do that as well. And game changer number 4, I'm really rambling on here, so I'm really sorry about that. But recognition is easy and powerful. So again, quick, easy wins. I'm going to blitz this one because this one should be easy. It doesn't have to cost money. That's the thing. Thank you costs nothing, right? That's the first thing. Thank you costs nothing. And then there's lots of things you can do above and beyond that cost the varying degrees of money, but not a lot. From introducing the ability to have an extra day's annual leave per year for a year. That makes a big difference to an individual. Cost-wise to an organization, it's pretty much cost neutral. Okay? Having one day, it's not going to break your bank. It's not going to make a big difference to you, but it'll make a big difference to that person. Have celebrations and meetings. Celebrating people's wins in front of other people. So it's not just a private thank you. It's a public thank you. That's taking the thank you to a new level. That's great. That's good too. You want to be able to also maybe think of other things outside that box. So there's other bonuses. They don't always have to cost stacks of money. I mean, another one was Amazon vouchers, Costa vouchers. Being able to win those. They don't cost loads of money to be able to provide that. You can buy them in bulk. But for an organization, it's not a big thing, but it makes a big difference to other people. There's other ones as well where people give money towards through the credit crunch and other bits of cost of living stuff that's been happening, that they give them opportunity to have money towards, grocery shopping. So you get vouchers to shop at Marks and Spencer's or Sainsbury's. Things that people are going to actually want and use right now. It's simple little things like that are rewards for things that are happening, recognition. And, we want to create a place of FOMO where people have a fear of missing out. Why did Mike get that reward and how do I get mine? Excellent question. This is what he did. Do this. That's amazing. I then stand a chance of getting that. It helps to create motivation. The people that are getting the rewards and are getting recognition, those people that typically that are getting the recognition, by the way, are the ones that previously would be the 20% that get next to none of your time. They're now getting time and they're getting recognition, not just more work. It really makes a big difference. Game changer number 5, well-being is essential, and it is. So I think that one of the best examples I've got of this at the moment in time is when you have an individual. So I'm not giving any names away or anything, but an individual that's going through a really tough time personally in their personal life, and it's you've got a close knit team and everybody is aware of what's happening, and it's really difficult for that not to seep in and have some form of contagion. So when one person's going through a difficult time, it can really break out and spread to other people who are also feeling that themselves from what's going on in that person's personal life. Or equally, when you have that person that's the 20% that's just getting more of the work, they're getting overlooked because you've got all your attention on the person that's not performing very well, getting the same amount of money but not doing half the level of work, they're going to burn out as well. Once we want to set goals that are going to stretch people, we're being completely unrealistic. I mean, there's one thing wanting to stretch people, yes. To be completely outlandishly unrealistic, completely different. You're expecting, a person who's just started running to next day go out and do a marathon. It's unrealistic to do that. So are the goals that we're setting realistic? Encouraging people to take breaks, giving some flexibility. It's kind of a touchy word at the moment, but giving some flexibility. They all help. And I think things like employee assistance programs, access to occupational health, and regular one-to-ones that genuinely monitor and genuinely can pick out where we are getting elements of burnout and people are starting to fall down and take early preventative action is really helpful. And I definitely would promote to have that put in place. So things with that is regular one-to-ones, an employee assistance program, which we call EAP, really good. Flexibility, encouraging breaks, reviewing workloads that people are undertaking and whether the goals that you set are too big as well as too small. We definitely want to do that. And that helps to increase retention. It helps to create better long-term performance because we're keeping people on board. If you break somebody, they're off sick. They're not there. That's going to impact overall outputs and performance. We want to bear that in mind. And game changer number 6 is psychological safety. So I really want within teams that I work within, businesses that I work within, I think openness is really important. If you're cloak and daggers, whether that's because you're trying to keep things masked or whether you're just, very cards close to your chest kind of people, whatever, it really does mean that you're not, by not letting anything out, you're also not letting anything in. So we really, really do want to have that ability, which means, again, come back to normalizing issue rising. So if someone has a concern, to be able to come forward to a manager and outline that. If you do have managers that aren't people, then that will have an impact because they won't have the confidence to go to that person. And those things don't come up the food chain. It's important to start getting the message from the bottom up as well as from the up down. That 360-degree kind of process. You need that in organizations, especially when you're growing organically, because it's so easy to lose that very quickly. And we want people to feel that it's okay to say, I'm not sure about something, or I'm not clear on this, or I don't really know how to do that. Because if you don't allow that and you allow people to go on their own autonomy, then it's going to fail. Giving a person a map only to realize later on that they couldn't drive a car, you're creating a problem. You can't just go, here's the map, I've done my part, thank you very much, I'm off to Edinburgh, I'll meet you there, and leave them with the autonomy thinking, I've done this magic stuff Mike said. Giving autonomy, it's going to build trust, but the person hasn't got the confidence and the environment to be able to say, but I can't drive. It's an issue, right? So we want to make sure that we're focusing on that and the psychological safety, encouraging an atmosphere where people do feel that they can come forward to their managers, do feel they come forward to the teams and the people around them, ask for help, say they're uncertain about something or raise a concern about something. We definitely do want that to be available. And the other one kind of comes back to number 5 as well, which is, we want to make sure that we're not creating overwhelm. So this isn't one of my game changers, but it's the whole process. If you went into, say for example, when we outrun, just thinking out loud, when we do the productivity booster, if I'm doing the productivity booster for a team of 50, I will go to the team of 50 and we'll break it down at the very top with the person. We don't go in everybody straight away, all at once. We're going at the very top. So the senior team or the senior person, and we work on the goals, the aspirations, the values, and all those things that underpin everything else we're going to do. And it sets it for everyone else further down. We start off there. And then we work with the managers to underpin that understanding and grow that knowledge base of what we're meant to be doing and how it's meant to be working, that consistency. And we work on that. And then it starts to roll itself further down. And it goes down bit by bit by bit. And then we manage, monitor, and measure the 3 M's every month, every quarter, throughout the whole of the year, all of the years. How we continue to do that. And when we meet on a strategical level, we can make strategical decisions based on hard data. Data on people is normally like nailing jelly to a wall. Our processes aren't. But we want to start small and build consistency. And with a smaller business, that's easier to do. If we're going into a business that's got 200 to 500 staff, I would never do it that way. Never in a million years would I do it that way. I would start with a team. And I want to show that it can work within a team. I want to create a FOMO for the other teams that this revolution is happening in this team. And you can be a part of it because I'm going to get buy-in. If I'm just arbitrarily saying to 200 to 500 people, you're now going to work this way, it doesn't go down very well. If I can get people to buy into it and want it, it goes down much better. Doing it within a team of the 20 to 50 makes it easier to then blend it and move it on to other teams and other teams and other teams. And gradually, over time, you'll have it throughout the business. But you want to start small. You can't eat an elephant in one sitting, was something I was always told about, and so perfectly true. So definitely break it down into small, chewable chunks. So just to go over that quickly, because I know I've rambled for a long, long time. So I apologize for that. You've made it this far, by the way, in this podcast, and you've listened all the way up until this point. Bonus points for you. Thank you very much. And I really, really appreciate you for doing that and sitting here with me all this time. I do. But game changer number 1 is good management. Number 2 is connecting work that people are doing to the purpose of the organization. Number 3 is autonomy builds trust. Allow people the freedom to find their way. Number 4 is recognition and make it as easy and as powerful as you can, especially to those people that you tend to not get as much attention that are actually creating quite big wins, and show those wins and showcase them. And you want to present them and you want to put them on a pedestal for everybody. Number 5 is well-being is essential. Looking after the people in our businesses and making sure we don't break them helps us to increase better working relationships, longer-term performance inputs, all those lovely, beautiful things, and better retention. And number 6 is psychological safety. We want to create an atmosphere where people feel empowered and able to come forward with problems, concerns, and uncertainty, so that we know that we can help out with them rather than keep them masked and them actually impact on performance and outputs. And the last one, which isn't a game changer, but we want to do it in small, chewable chunks. Now, if this has been helpful for you, if this has been helpful whatsoever, A, I appreciate you for being here. B, make sure you click on the link in below and you connect with us so that we can give you more helpful tidbits more regularly that you don't get in these normal podcast processes as well. And you'll get access to the blogs as well. So if you do not want to listen to me rambling all the time, that's fine. I won't take it personally. But if you don't, you can read the blog as well. And I would definitely recommend it. And if you have got to this stage, please read the blog, right? there's no fluff, there's no stuff, no jargon, no bullshit with us. It is what it is, and we talk about it as it should be, not covering and masking anything. And I want to give as much as I can away, and not kind of sugarcoat it and give tidbits and save the good juicy stuff for those on the inside. I want to make a difference to your business. And why do I want to do that? Why am I doing these podcasts and giving this stuff away? Because I want to build that confidence from a selfish point of view with you, within me, and within our business at Cavill, that we could make that difference for you. So you can do this, but you can guarantee we can give you that map that will get you to that place and destination and want to invest with us. Otherwise, I want you to take the bits that we're giving away and utilize that in your organization, even if that's for free, and make a difference and grow. Because I want that. That's what I want to do. So please come along. All of our info and stuff is in the link below. And if you'd like to book in for a chat with me, you can do that in the link below as well. I look forward to seeing you soon. All the best. Enjoy the blog. Ciao.